Hello, I'm Daphne Goode, and welcome to Go Island, the Cowichan Valley edition. Today we're going to visit Chemainus and find out about great plans for a whole year full of stimulating theatre. On today's show, we'll introduce you to the success of the Buddy Holly Show, talk about the Chemainus Theatre Festival vision, and look behind the scenes at the BC Legislature. All that and more on Go Island, Cowichan Valley.
Go Island is brought to you by German Auto Import Network.
In Chemainus, Mark Dumais is busy as the artistic director of the Chemainus Theatre Festival. Casting for the 2014 theatre season is largely completed, while a dining room renovation is just about finished. A lot of people look forward to the new season, the Chemainus Theatre Festival season, and there's so much great material coming up. I'm with Mark Dumais, who is the artistic director. And Mark, Buddy Holly is going to be such a popular show. Let's start with that, because the incomparable Zachary Stevenson will be here.
Indeed he is. We're bringing that show back after selling out a lot of different shows of Buddy Holly last year. And we've got most of the same cast back. They're all coming in on Monday to start rehearsals, and Zach is just, he's a dynamo. Anyone who's seen him play that role, they know he's a dynamo. And he's done it at the Arts Club. He's done it at different theaters across Canada, and now he's here in Chemainus.
Yeah, I had the pleasure of seeing him. He absolutely lives and breathes the Buddy Holly role. But the music is so great. It's just such an uplifting production.
It is. I think we've programmed a review type show at the first part of our season for a few years now, and there's this great power in nostalgia. There's this great euphoria that it brings to our audiences, and it's palpable in the space, and so I'm really excited. They get it so close when they see Buddy Holly, because our space is so intimate that it's very powerful.
Yeah, so think about Peggy Sue, and that'll be the day, and you're going to have a great time at that production, which opens soon, Feb 11th until March the 8th. And as we step through the season, you can give us some good insight, Mark, into what choices you've made that perhaps focus on Canadian writer. You usually try and have one of those, but let's go through in order here. So we've got March 21st, Jeeves in Bloom will be opening.
Yeah, so that's a Canadian premiere of the P.G. Wodehouse stories. It's a new adaptation of that. Jeeves, of course, is the Valette, and Bertie his charge. And we've got Gussie Fink-Knottle, the newt fancier, Madeline Bissett, one of the fairy lovers, and a host of other kind of crazy comical characters.
Great characters.
Yeah, lovely drawn characters.
Yeah, and as we're talking about characters, auditions are popular here in Chemainus. I know a lot of actors who come from elsewhere on the island, as well from the mainland, and you've already cast a fairly large size of the season by now. Can you give us an idea of sort of the breadth of those actors?
Well, ideally we try to cast about a year in advance, so we're cast up through Les Mis and then going forward. Those actors come from Vancouver Island. They come from Vancouver, that's sort of our main city center, and then we'll go as far as Toronto, Calgary, occasionally New York and the East Coast, but we'll bring them in from all over to be here in Chemainus.
Fabulous. Now we have a John Murrell piece, Waiting for the Parade.
That's right.
I just love the imagery on this one. Obviously it's kind of built around the war.
Yep. It's a real home front story. You've got 5 women keeping the home fires burning, and the different trials that they go through. So I picked it because it's a Canadian piece. It features women prominently. Our design team is mostly women, and it's a beautiful play with a lot of heart.
And then Les Mis, wow.
For us, it's the intimate epic. You'll get to hear that great music and that fantastic score real up close and personal in our 273-seat house. So we're excited. There's a lot to pack in. We've sort of cleared the deck as far as the production wheel goes to support that show. We're fully cast, and Peter Jorgensen, who did It's a Wonderful Life, Oklahoma, and Fiddler on the Roof for us, is coming back to direct and choreograph that piece, and really knows our space well, so I'm really excited for him to have that show in his hands.
Tell us about Over the River and Through the Woods.
That's a family comedy about 2 sets of grandparents who essentially try to set up their single grandson through a family Sunday dinner. So it's very funny.
I think I've been there.
Who hasn't, right? So it's very funny. The one-liners fly, but at the end of the day, you're also looking at aging. You're looking at family dynamics. You're looking at immigration. themes which a lot of island dwellers know very well.
Right, a big Italian family, and that looks like Margaret Martin.
She's in our picture, that's right.
Yeah, that's great, a well-known local actress. So that is running in the fall, October 3rd to November 8th, and then we come to an interesting blend here, Sherlock Holmes and the Case of the Christmas Carol.
Yeah, that's a show that, again, is a Canadian premiere. We found that in Seattle from a new writer. It takes Sherlock Holmes and places him in the Scrooge legend, and where Scrooge kind of followed money as his chief desire, Sherlock has followed reason. And so as Sherlock sleuths his own future, as Sherlock does, he also learns about compassion. And so it's really well written. It's a real fun journey for him to go on, and it is a Holmes mystery at the end of the day.
Tell me one last piece about Freud's last session.
Yeah, so that's a bit of an experiment. We're going to turn our rehearsal hall into a small theater for about 60 people as a black box, and that show features two prominent figures from Western culture, Sigmund Freud and C.S. Lewis, who supposedly had a conversation at one point in their life. And so basically it's a high-flown debate about two very strong and contrasting points of view. And you can find yourself in watching that engagement, figuring out where you sit with those two very strong points of view. Really, another really well-written piece.
It's often a study in learning more about ourselves to go to theater.
I think so.
We're going to take a quick break right now, but when we come back, we'll talk about special offerings for families and children at the Chemainus Theatre. Stay with us, we'll be right back.